Welcome to the Traders Clinic, your regular shot in the arm of trader insights, philosophy and knowledge, brought to you by two professional money managers, Ali Crooks and Charlie Burton.
In every episode, we cover all things from the world of trading and answer your burning trading questions.
We do indeed.
How are you, sir?
Well, it's nice to be in a warmer environment.
It is.
We're coming out of the winter up here in the UK.
Yeah, sun is out, all is good.
Yes, indeed.
So we've got a theme for this one. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to start with essentially a question, and this is I think very topical with where we are at the moment. Do you need to be an 8-figure trader to be successful?
I think we both have come across this, that we're seeing people talking about this sort of thing on the internet, social media and stuff, and people as a result are thinking, oh, I need to be a 7-figure trader, so to speak. I need to get over $1 million. And a lot of it is to do with funded accounts, and maybe we'll talk about funded accounts on a separate show. But 7 figures, 8 figures. And the risk is that you can feel inadequate because you think, well, I'm never going to become a 7-figure, or that you feel like you have to in order to warrant being successful as a trader. And yet there's some amazing traders out there who trade with, and we'll talk about that in a while, 6 figures. So maybe that's more realistic, trading with a 6 figures or even a good solid 5-figure amount. And actually you can do really well with that. You don't have to be trading at 7, 8 figures. That's what's going out there at the moment. And the potential is that people feel inadequate, and we don't want them to feel that way, because actually if you build your account over time by both through profit and hopefully by being able to add funds to the account as well, you can build your account into quite a solid amount, and you can do really well with that.
I think it comes back to the two ideas of performance in terms of out and out return versus the cash that you're making. So you could be doing very, very well from a performance point of view, and you're seeing all of these things and you're trading on a 5-figure account. And like you said, you feel as if you're not doing very well because you're only trading with smaller money. But actually what you're doing is perfectly suitable for where you are in your trading process. And the other thing to bear in mind is, especially from the prop firm side of it, is people can jump to supposedly managing all this money, but they haven't actually gone through the steps to get there, because every trader has almost floors and ceilings in their process. I've worked with traders who have done very well on a 5-figure account, and that was fine with them. They were happy to do that. Their returns were very good, and they even said to me, should I be trading with more money? Well, not necessarily. You can experiment, and you might find that you're more comfortable, and your performance and your ability to execute on trades is so much better because you feel comfortable about the amount of money you're trading. And if that means your performance can continue over time, there isn't the need to necessarily trade with 6, 7, or even 8 figures. It isn't a marker of success as a trader, and it relates to your goals.
No, exactly. I remember getting in 2013 thinking, I don't need to trade any bigger now. I'd sort of reached a level of position size overall where I was comfortable. And it comes back to what you've just said. You should get to a point where you may get to a point where you don't want to trade any bigger size. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most people get to a natural limit of the position size that they feel comfortable with, and don't feel inadequate because you feel like, oh, I'm trading 5 lots is my maximum, so to speak, or whatever, 1 lot, whatever it is, or 25 lots. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to feel differently towards their trading. You don't need to become a multi-gazillionaire as a trader as well, because there's a lot of very good traders out there who can consistently, year in, year out, make pretty decent returns on 5 figures, as you've just said, or 6 figures. And not everyone wants to become a multi-millionaire or whatever. And so I think that's really important for people to understand, especially if someone's trading with $5,000 or whatever, and they're like, how am I going to get this to $1 million? Well, you don't have to.
You don't, yeah.
Because you may get that 5,000 over years to 50,000 by trading and by adding to it, and then maybe onto 100,000 or whatever. You may be in your comfort zone. And like you've just said, you will actually trade better whilst you stay in that comfort zone. Not everybody is going to become a whatever zero trader.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that what a lot of the time is people are not thinking about, they're thinking about the upside. They're not thinking about the downside. And it's never the trader who's in the position that I've ever heard say this, but all traders know that it's the same. Let's say you have a 5% drawdown. It's the same 5% in percent terms, whether you're trading with 10 grand or whether you're trading with $1 million. But it certainly feels very different if you have a 5% drawdown on $1 million than if you have it on 10 grand. And you as the trader know logically it's still the same percentage, but there's the psychology around the actual money that's involved. And I think a lot of traders aren't thinking about it from that point of view. They're all they're focusing on is the upside, but that journey will have inevitable downsides. And for some traders, they need to build the resilience up of those inevitable drawdowns at lower amounts and get used to that if they're on a natural progression rather than jump from 5 figures all the way to 7.
Stagger it over time, but also have that self-awareness to say, do you know what? I'm comfortable here. Where I'm at trading right now, I'm comfortable with. I don't need to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, because I've always said that for most of us, there is a natural ceiling. For one person, it might be trading a £50,000 account. For another person, it might be 500,000. For another one, it might be 5 million. We're all different, and you don't have to think that you've got to trade a £5 million account. As nice as it would be, but that may not be for you. And it's no different in any other walk of life. Everyone's got different things that they're comfort zones in other walks of life. So I think that's really important to understand.
Yeah, very good point. And when that sort of ties into the question that we've got is, how do I go about turning a small account into a large account? And again, define how large is large. But I mean, there's certain mechanistic things you can do. You mentioned it earlier, which I think is really important, which is the process of adding into your account over time. I think that's something that gets swept aside, especially these days, where a lot of people's focus is on passing trading challenges and having $250,000 supposedly under their control. And I think they miss the value of taking a long-term view, but over time, adding money into your account as you develop can have huge benefits, especially in the early days.
Well, it's the power of compounding, isn't it? And anyone can get a compounding calculator out and put a given figure into a compounding calculator. And then, if you added just a few $100 a month or whatever the amount is, over time, that really does compound and build up. So it really adds something to your trading, to not only be trading and generating profits, but to be compounding it on top. You're getting double there. So I think it's a lot of people, you hear a lot of people say, I want to prove to myself that I'm successful first.
Yes.
And so they never end up wanting to add any more funds. And I get that. We get that, especially for people who are newer to trading. But there has to be a point whereby you say, okay, I'm doing okay. Yeah, you really want to be able to add funds to it. Not everyone can, because their outgoings might be such that they can't, but it's certainly an option. And that is a way to catapult your account higher outside of trading profits.
Yeah, another way of backing yourself as well. So our last question for this episode. I love this. What's the best trading performance you've ever come across? This is great.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads, obviously, because we've both read all the books and stumbled across trading stories of fund traders and the likes, the market wizards and all of that stuff. And this is a market wizard who will never appear in Market Wizards, because this chap has no interest in being famous or being whatever on the, being interviewed, none of that. He's an ex-Citi institutional trader, and he's got millions anyway. So let's set the scene. He's retired. He was doing it for decades. And he puts in he starts every year with roughly £300,000 in a trading account, and he will do 300% almost, here or there, pretty consistently, and has done for the last 15 years. Now that is true stellar performance.
Yeah.
Lots of retail traders think, oh yeah, I'm going to make £1,000, 1,000% a year, 2,000% a year. Forget it. This is someone who is at the absolute top of his game. He's like Rain Man with numbers. So because people will be saying, oh, what's his strategy? I need to learn his strategy. Forget all that. He's not interested in anything. He's just quietly does what he does. He's got a very high IQ. He's just sees numbers. That's what he sees. So most people aren't going to be able to follow what he does. The point of the story is this is someone who is right at the top of his game. And all he's interested in is making that money. He takes the profits out and then he starts the following year with 300,000 again, and away he goes. And consistently over the time that I've been told about him, that by, I can't mention names, but someone who knows his trading performance intricately, on average 300% a year every year is incredible.
It's incredible, yeah. I think that, well, I was going to say the key word you said initially was consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, somebody can do, 300% in 1 year, if you're doing everything right, is still very good.
Yeah.
But to do that year in, year out consistently is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important message for our listeners that, like you said, if there's people out there thinking, oh, I'm going to be doing 1,000, 2,000 by following this little paint by numbers strategy, there's nothing necessarily wrong with trading that way, but the expectation out there is often very high. But it links nicely back to what we were talking about at the start, because you said that he will start with, say, 300K, take it up to 1 million or so, and then take the money out and go again. So even somebody with that level of skill, that level of consistency, has got a parameter around the amount of money that he trades and how he does it. He's not compounding that over and over and over and over again forever. He's saying, right, this is the parameter I play in, and that consistency for me outweighs the need to be trading with 9 figures, 10 figures, or whatever people seem to think.
He doesn't need it. He's only interested in his deposit money. So he's got his margin, essentially. The margin funds his trading. So the 300,000 is essentially his margin. And like you say, he's not interested in trying to turn it into 10 million. He's got millions anyway. This is about income. This is about his income over a given year. So he's not interested in trying to turn it into a much larger amount. And I think that, like you said, this is a good example that you don't have to see what's going on social media or whatever and think, oh God, I've got to get my account to 10 million. You don't have to. You can get to a point where you can do very well. Now, he's an extreme example because I don't think even in the market, he would, if he wanted to be, he could be in Market Wizards as an interviewee because of that type of consistency over that amount of time. You or I have never done, we may well have done 100% plus, 200% plus in a year, but that's in a single year, never with that kind of consistency. So that really is, a unicorn, really. But what that says to us is that you don't have to be that person making 300% a year. The ability to be able to make 50% per year, and even that is amazing performance. But yeah, anyone has the ability to make really solid gains. You don't have to be like him. But the point that we're raising here is on social media and on the internet, there's a lot of assumptions that there's these super stellar traders out there making thousands of percents a year, and that's not true, because that is the best trader I've never met.
Yeah. And on that note, I think
his name's Ali Crooks.
His name's Charlie Burton.
Trade safely out there.